Yes, they know what they're doing. No, they will not change. Yes, they could stop if they really wanted to. No, you can't fix them with extra love. Yes, and then one day I hit a wall. I was drowning in this heavy guilt again, and I knew I had to find a way out. I was so sick and tired of it. So I decided to apply something that I created a while back, which I named Tea with Self. There is who you are, and there is who you think you are, who they made you believe that you were. For so many of us, our self-perception has been shaped by the words and actions of others. When we grow up in dysfunctional families, constantly told that we aren't good enough or shown in some way or other by just even being ignored, these beliefs settle deep into our identity. They become the lens through which we see ourselves, leading us to feel that we're fundamentally flawed or bad. And here's the hard truth. Those beliefs don't just disappear as we get older. Instead, they shape our choices, our relationships, and our overall sense of worth. We accept mistreatment because deep down we believe that we deserve it. I mean, we don't believe it on a conscious level. Like here, we know that we deserve better. But on a subconscious level, on a cellular level, we silence ourselves because we've been taught our voice doesn't matter. And worst of all, we become our own worst critic, carrying the harsh judgment of others long after they're gone. But the most painful part, we don't even realize that we're doing it. Sometimes we'd like to ask our partner if we could go to the movies on the weekend, but we don't. We don't because we expect to know. But obviously, if you're with a narcissist, it's a given that they're going to deny your wants. However, if you were with a healthy person, you still wouldn't ask. And sometimes we'd love nothing more than have a visit with a friend. But again, we're not going to ask. We're going to wait for them to reach out. Basically, we're afraid of the no, that feeling of rejection that brings us right back to the rejection that we experienced as children. We expect a no, and unfortunately, what we expect, we get. Vibrations again. Many of us walk around carrying shame that we were never meant to carry. We hold on to memories of mistakes, moments of weaknesses, times when we lashed out, gave in, or didn't stand up for ourselves. And we replay these moments over and over again, reinforcing the belief that we were somehow broken or that we are somehow broken. But what if I told you that the person that you think you are, the one that you've judged so harshly, is not the real you? What if I told you that the guilt, the shame, and the self-blame that you carry were never yours to hold? They just weren't. For many of us who ended up in relationships with narcissists, that feeling of not being enough intensifies. Narcissists are masters at finding our vulnerabilities and using them against us. They feed off of our insecurities, making us question ourselves even more. They rewrite history, making us believe that every argument, every problem, and every failure was our fault. And if we made mistakes, whether in parenting, relationships, or even through coping mechanisms like drinking or self-destructive behaviors, these mistakes, they become fuel for an unrelenting cycle of guilt and self-hatred. Over time, we begin to police ourselves even when they're no longer around. Maybe I'm too emotional. After all, I often cry. And then we compare ourselves to our friends who are in healthy relationships. They aren't all emotional. They have a grip on life. They're strong. Well, newsflash here. They wouldn't be so strong and put together if they walked in your shoes or if they grew up unacknowledged. Maybe I did overreact. The narcissist had you walking on eggshells for 3 days while you did everything in your power to appease them like they deserved it. But that was you in survival mode, right? Trying to get them to be normal again, as normal as a narcissist can be. And when they finally pushed your buttons enough and you exploded, you were blamed for everything. But somehow you think if you would have said this instead of that, if you would have kept your cool, oh my God, are you not human? Maybe I really was the problem, you think. after they tell you that you're passive aggressive and you need help. Passive aggressive? You can't approach them with anything without being punished for it. They have trained you to keep everything bottled up inside, just like the training that you received growing up, regardless as to whether it was intentional or not growing up. But now it's intentional. But here's the truth. Their voice is not your own. The inner critic that whispers these things is just an echo of their manipulation, past trauma and present trauma. You've been molded to believe that you'll never be enough. You'll never be successful. And if you are, you had to work 3 times harder than most people. Or you end up giving away all of your hard earnings. You've been molded to believe that you're bad somehow. You just don't measure up. Molded to believe that you're responsible for everything and everyone. You're responsible for making the relationship work. And even if you think that that isn't true, you believe it at a cellular level. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be in this relationship. You just wouldn't. I'm not scolding you. I've been there 3 times. I was stubborn. The narcissist has you serving them emotionally and physically while none of your needs are met. But with them, it's one-sided, and that isn't a relationship. That is an accommodation. Now, if you were the scapegoat in your family, this burden is even heavier. You wake up every morning with a subconscious weight, a feeling that you've done something wrong, even if you can't pinpoint exactly what. Sound familiar here? If anybody can relate to what I'm saying here, leave a comment down below. I'd like to see how many me toos I can find in the comments. And that feeling that I'm talking about, it's guilt. But beneath it, it's self-judgment, the belief that you are inherently bad. So we give and we keep giving. But when someone is willing to give to us, we have such a hard time receiving, because receiving makes us feel shame. And then overgiving brings on resentment eventually. That's just no way to live. That's not a life, that's a dying. And when we live in that emotional space, our entire energy vibrates at the lowest frequencies. And when we're stuck in those low vibrations, life reflects what back to us again? More negativity, more pain, more situations that reinforce what we already believe about ourselves. It's not who we are, it's a belief. But here's what the narcissist doesn't want you to know. You were never the problem. It's just convenient for them when someone else can take the responsibility, when somebody else can take the blame. You make their lives cushy. So you're an accommodation. These narcissists are masters at manipulation. If they see that you're slipping away, all they have to do is pretend to care. And because you're an empath who sees the best in everyone, your cognitive dissonance has you buying into this hope. All they have to do is pretend to care when they want something. Narcissists, they think that self-love means being the only one in the room who counts. Yeah, that's self-love for them. When they come home from work and talk to you, it isn't about being happy to spend time with you. It's just another day of their humble bragging. They're getting supply. It's not because they're missing you. Even if the conversation is about how terrible coworkers were or bosses, they're still looking for supply. A narcissist's favorite hobby is talking about themselves. Oh, of course. I mean, what else could possibly matter? But here's another truth, and this is from a Facebook post that I saw, but it's an exact depiction. Yes, they know what they're doing. No, they will not change. Yes, they could stop if they really wanted to. No, you can't fix them with extra love. Yes, they can control it, just like they do in public. No, they don't care about hurting you. Yes, they know that they are hurting you. No, they do not care about you. Yes, they are capable of insidious manipulation. No, they aren't capable of emotional empathy. Yes, they can fake it. No, they will not take accountability. Yes, they will gaslight you and make you feel crazy. No, you did not cause their NPD. Yes, it's okay to leave and go no contact. No, it's not your fault. Let me repeat this. No, it's not your fault. Nor was the programming that was instilled in you growing up. The guilt, the shame, the self-judgment. I've been there. For years, I carried the guilt of breaking up my family, even though I had no choice. My ex was abusive in every possible way, but because my children blamed me for leaving, I internalized that pain. Every morning, the first thought that entered my mind was that I had ruined everything. I took on all the responsibility. And that thought, it followed me for decades, long enough that now I'm not just a grandmother, I'm a great grandmother. That's a lifetime of carrying something that wasn't even mine to hold. And then one day I hit a wall. I was drowning in this heavy guilt again, and I knew I had to find a way out. I was so sick and tired of it. So I decided to apply something that I created a while back, which I named Tea with Self. When it comes to healing, there's always layers. You heal one layer and then another one comes up for healing. Fun, huh? Earth school. But I knew that Tea with Self would bring about some changes, so off I went. I'll be doing a video on Tea with Self in the near future. It's really powerful. And yes, it is mirror work, but it isn't quite what we're accustomed to seeing as per mirror work. In my opinion, affirmations can be great, but when we're bombarded with all this shame and guilt, I don't think looking at ourselves in the mirror is going to do much for us other than create more resistance. The subconscious mind ain't buying it. You have to get to the root and then you dig there. Anyway, that day I sat in front of the mirror and I became two people. The counselor who was sitting on the floor in front of the mirror and the wounded self, the one who was in the mirror. The me in the mirror was crying, unable to even look at my own reflection because all I saw was ugly, especially while going through the full stream ugly cry. That didn't help because seeing myself in the mirror, I was ugly, not just in appearance, but in spirit. But the counselor in me stepped up and asked, would God see you as ugly? And immediately my answer was no, of course not. God, in my mind, is non-judgmental and loving. And God knows all too well that we've chosen these experiences to learn and to grow. So then came the next question. Would God forgive you? Absolutely, yes. But then I said, but I can't forgive myself. I chose the wrong man in my life. That hurt my children. And that's when my subconscious, the counselor part of me, asked or said, name 10 things that make you a good person. And that question, it changed everything. At first it was hard, but then I started listing things. I care about people. I love animals. I have deep empathy for others. And I'm not going to name them all because hopefully you guys will do your own lists. But one by one, I found 10 that proved that I wasn't this terrible person I had believed to be. And then I went deeper. I listed 10 experiences in my life that showed my true nature. I remembered the way that I raised my children with laughter. We were always laughing in the house. We were the three musketeers. I have two boys, and my husband was never around. We had these food fights in the kitchen. We roller skated in the house on Saturday mornings doing housework, running barefoot in the rain with the kids every time it rained, never missing a baseball game, no matter how hectic my life was. And all of those moments were who I was. And I had buried them beneath years of judgment, shame, and guilt. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means rewriting the narrative that you've been told about yourself. So what if, instead of judging yourself for the mistakes that you've made, you viewed them as a part of your evolution? What if you could see your past not as proof of your unworthiness, but as evidence of your resilience? You are not who they told you that you were. You are not your mistakes. You are not unworthy of love, especially from yourself. It's time to see yourself for who you really are. I'm going to take a wild guess here. You're compassionate. You're an honest person. You're sincere. You're respectful. and lots more qualities. You are a good person. And once you can clear those layers and reprogram your mind with your own programs that you want, you'll see clearly who you really are. And so will others. So thank you for listening, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.